Let me show you a unique thing about the Acura 244 while I have the front wheel off. It's pretty interesting on how this car is designed. With the Acura drivetrain in the back, basically I cut off the whole front of the Acura and I grafted the fender wells and the frame and everything that came off the Acura, because it's kind of all built into the car. So I cut it all off and I built it into this car. So now basically I have the whole front end under the back, and I made some links in the back that mimics the steering rack, but it's held in place to where and then each one of the links on each end are adjustable to adjust the toe, and it just stays that way. After I finished grafting it all in here, I made a jig on the back for both sides for all the mounting points for the suspension. Then I moved that to the front and I shortened it by about 5 inches as far as the track width goes, and that's what makes the front not as wide as the back, because I shortened the front track width that distance. And then I used a whole nother Acura front suspension under the front. So in doing so, there's axles in the rear that actually hold the bearing assembly together. It keeps your wheel from coming off, basically the bearing from coming apart while you're going down the road. Your axle actually aids in keeping it from doing that. So when you clamp the axle in there, it clamps the bearing and holds it together. Well, on the front, I don't have an axle. So what I had to do was get these big giant bolts that has a nut on the back side with a big washer. And the washer actually mimics the axle itself going up against the bearing to hold it together. So if I didn't have that, then these front wheels would just literally come off the car. So that's something that I don't think any car has, honestly. But it is a neat setup for future projects. Maybe I can do an all-wheel drive setup, which would be cool as crap. So yeah, that's how the suspension's designed. And another thing about doing it this way, I was able to use the same brakes that was on the Acura, and all the calipers and everything else, brake line mount points, I mean, like literally everything. So I didn't have to worry about dealing with any of that stuff. It's all Acura stuff, you know. So that also gives me a little bit of an advantage on the brakes in another way. So the engine's in the back, and it's actually forward of the axle. You see how the engine's actually more forward of the axle? Because that's actually, the Acura has the engine more forward of the axle, so it's in front of the axle on the TSX. You may not know that, but anyways, that puts it at mid-engine, but all the weight's back here, so it has the good size brakes. These are, I think, almost 11-inch calipers. I mean, 11-inch brake rotors on here. So having 11-inch on the back and 11-inch on the front, most of your stopping power is in the front. But now that I've moved the engine midways, then that allows the the front weight, and when it shifts forward, it needs the extra big brake rotors in the front for the weight to transfer forward on just about any car. And being that I move most of the engine weight here, then that means it needs bigger brakes in the back also. So it equals out. And let me tell you, this thing stops on a dime, and the ABS isn't even working yet. I'm working on that now, by the way. So now I get the ABS working, this thing I think the traction control part's going to work really, really well. But anyway, that's a unique thing about this car I figured you might want to know. So thanks for your support. You have a good one.